Please. I'm kidding. Anyway, so welcome to build our own DIY at-home agent. You might be familiar with Claude or ChatGPT as an AI agent, and you're thinking, yeah, I have to pay money for that, and I'm sending all my information to some large language model in a cloud somewhere, and I don't feel cool about that. I'm either too cheap or too afraid of people taking my information, knowing things about me, and possibly building a replacement for me in the future. And you know what? Touche. Even though those companies promise, they super promise they're not using your data like that. I mean, how many times have these companies made promises and broken them? I'm just saying. But the good news is we got you covered. It's super easy to toss together an open source agent using just some parts lying around the house. As you can see, I've put together a recipe. You're going to need an agent that you can slot your own LLM into. Just for the audience who might not know what an LLM is, an LLM is a large language model. Language models. These are, well, specifically, we're talking about LLMs that have been built using the GPT framework. That's Generative Pre-trained Transformer. There's a difference, believe it or not. LLM is the word that took off, and when we think GPT, we think ChatGPT. OpenAI has this way of branding and copywriting and IP protecting really common terms. So chat plus GPT, these are words that should never have been allowed to be trademarked, but here we are. So we're specifically going to use an LLM that's a GPT. And you know what? Not all large language models are large. Some of them, also known as SLMs or small language models, will fit right here on my computer. And we're going to use one of them. We're going to call them smaller language models because there are people who still balk. They're like, no, it's a medium language model and that's a micro language model. And it's like, guys, MLM does not mean something that you want to be associated with multi-layer marketing. So we're going to talk about smaller language models as well. These are things like Qwen, Gemma, Tiny Llama. I'm sure that's actually a thing. I'm just spitballing. We can ask an agent. It will tell us. So the agent framework that we're going to be using is actually going to be Goose. We're going to use Goose. What's Goose, you might ask? All right. Take us, I'm using Dia for this. Take us to Goose from Block. So what is Block? Block is the company that runs Square, etc. They're kind of known for, I'm rejecting all, you just knock it off. They're kind of known for shady payments, etc. But one good thing that they built was this thing called Goose. Goose is just an open source, locally running, extensible, and autonomous agent framework. You can give it any model you want. Any model. You can, easily give it the information to run Anthropic or ChatGPT. But you can also give it something like, we're going to use Qwen, because everyone's talking about Qwen these days. We're going to use Qwen, probably 3B, or was it 4.3B? We'll get there. This is an adventure. We learn together. Qwen something B. And we're going to run it locally using Facebook's gift to the world, Ollama. We don't know why Facebook cares about AI. It's certainly not using it to build a better recommendation engine. Wrong algorithms. But for some reason, Mark Zuckerberg has decided to dump a ton of stakeholder cash into AI, and we get to reap the benefits. So let's do that. All right, so we need Goose, we need Qwen, and we need Ollama. I actually have all of these things installed already, so I'm going to do y'all a favor, and I'm going to remove them. How do we do that? Oh, this is fun. You guys get to see what's in my apps. No, don't look at my resumes. Don't look at my resumes. I'm kidding. All right, let's see what we got in here. It's going to be under Rachel Neighbors, applications. It's going to be at system level, isn't it? Yeah, it is. In we go. Apps. Okay. I'm super, hang on. I have this thing called the search bar. I don't have to be completely completely shamed yet, but we're gonna get there. Wow, I have a lot of Ollama files, but here we go. Applications, Ollama. Hey, there's the application folder I wanted to be in. Well, I don't have anything damning in here. That's all on Steam. Now, let's see what we've got. Ollama. Hello, Ollama. I'm doing this for you guys. You see Ollama? It's going in the trash. We're gonna install it together, like best friends. And then Goose. I love Goose, but we're gonna install it together. I'm gonna put it into the trash. Are you ready for a fresh install? Have you got yourself something tasty to drink and or eat nearby? If you have some questions for me, just drop them into chat. I see what you're saying. It's right over there. Feel free to introduce yourself, say hi. I have no idea what you all are up to. You working on something fun? Am I your background chatter? Or is this like really important to what you're working on and I gotta try extra hard to not lead you astray? You tell me, okay? All right, so let's download Goose. I think the best thing to do, well actually Ollama takes the longest time if memory serves. So let's start at the bottom. Order these accordingly. We're going to start with Ollama, and then we're going to set it to download Qwen, and we're going to get Goose. Okay, you ready? Ollama time. I am using Dia. Its search function's pretty good. Okay, well, check it out. We go to Mac, we say download for Mac OS. Feeling pretty cool so far. It's got a damage file. View all downloads. This couldn't go terribly wrong, could it? All right, let's open it up. We get this cute little icon. We drag it into applications. So I love this little excitement mark that they left there. There we go. It's already running. Now let's open up Ollama. See what we got in there. Yes, I want to use it. Well, look at that. It's already loaded. And look at all these different models that it has access to. And it can download each of them. Now, having one of these local is super useful. You can kind of see what the upward bounds for the system is. 3.4 Gemma 3 4B is really good. We've also got some DeepSeek. We've got Qwen. We've got a Qwen for coding. And then there's Qwen 4B. I believe Qwen 4B is what I want to use. Now, I wrote this down previously, and I forgot it. So anyway, we got Ollama. We got Qwen locally. Does Qwen work? Well, let's have a chat. Hi, Qwen. Can you tell me about the War of 1812? We'll update it even. And you can see that Qwen, you can see what it's thinking here. This is kind of in an actual agentic framework. This is pretty private. It's not going to be exposed to the user. You can see there's an awful lot going on here. And then there's the actual answer, which is it was a conflict between the US and the United Kingdom, lasted from June to December. Wow, that was fast. First war with which the United States fought as a sovereign nation. Okay, wow. There were some causes, some key events, outcomes. So this is the kind of response that you would expect from maybe something like Claude or even ChatGPT or even Dia. Let's take a look at Dia, by the way, uses a proprietary blend of technologies. So what we could do here, can you tell me about the War of 1812? We're going to see something similar. This time it's pulling some pictures from the internet, and it summarizes things, you know, key moments, outcomes. It's the same information, just formatted slightly differently. So this, I believe, is running on either Claude or running on ChatGPT. But this gives you the idea, like, this is super powerful. This is running locally on my laptop. A small language model can often do what you need if you give it the information. If you give it the context that it needs. And the good news is that when you use a small language model, like this one, Qwen, that we're using through Ollama, the questions I'm giving it here, they are never leaving my computer. The information is not leaving my computer. Let's see what this is. Newer version, update. Using web search with Ollama requires an account. We're not going to make an account. I don't want to give you an account. I just want to use your LLM. What Ollama does is it runs all of these little guys in the background wherever I need them. You can expose Ollama to the network and allow other devices or services to access it. We may need that. And we can also adjust the context length. This means how much space we're giving it. 4K is pretty big. 8K is amazingly big. And the nice thing is that you have control over the context size here. That's how much stuff you can dump into that input. And you don't usually get that kind of control when you're buying services from a server off somewhere else. Oh yeah, airplane mode keeps data local, disabling cloud models and web search. Whoa, ho, 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 ho. Keep that in mind. If you really want to be a safety dude, you can turn airplane mode on, and that will keep everything 100% local. You might turn on some MCP servers. Let's just leave it switched on for now, because I really want to show you guys what it can do locally. You ready? Let's ask it another question. Let's see. This is the one that I use to gauge how clever a model is. Is it possible that ichthyosaurs, which I'll spell wrong, had echolocation? All right, let's see what it can do. Oh, it's not using it locally. Very, very interesting. So are you secretly sending things up and around? All right, probably is. Let's find out now. Let's build with Goose. Let's go download the actual Goose. Now, we could install Goose this way. Let's see what we got. Install via download. We're going to want the CLI so that we can, oh wait, no, we're going to use this one and set the LLM provider. We are going to use local. Come on. What? Not found. Stuff provider, C interface. Okay. I'm going to actually ask AI here. Can I set Goose up to use a local LLM with Ollama? This website. Pretty badass. Let's see if it's good. I looked this up with Comet, the browser, the other day. Okay, Goose supports Ollama as a provider. Yes. We'll have to install the CLI. But this is good because the CLI will allow us to do this. You ready? Let's go. So first off, we're going to download Max Silicon. Yeah, and we're also going to install via the homebrew, which I think I've already done. Meeps. Hang on a minute. Here, down here, the setting the LLM provider. I believe I have already done all this. Let's open up Zed, my favorite. Yeah, I did. I just feel like I want to show you this from the beginning. Goose uninstall. How do I uninstall the Goose CLI? Gotta do this for demo purposes, y'all. No explicit uninstallation. Interesting. Let's ask. Okay. Is there a way to uninstall Goose CLI? I've never had to uninstall something that didn't have a nice uninstall command. I'm usually using brew. And the CLI is, oh yeah, I would do brew uninstall. I believe that's how I installed it. Is exactly what, there we go. Love you, brew. I forgot that I could use brew uninstall. And then we're going to turn around and we're going to brew install it. Why do we use brew? Because brew is kind of safer than doing this whole curl thing. I probably should have brew installed the entire UI from Goose Desktop, but I skipped ahead and I missed this. Downloads the same app, can take care of updates too. It's alright. It's alright. It's alright. Alright, so it's all been uninstalled. Great. Let's get a new Zish open. A new terminal, so we get a very cool. There we go. I appreciate that. Let's make a new one. So everything looks beautiful. And now we're going to brew install block Goose CLI. While that's running, let's go have a peek at my downloads and open up that Goose zip. Oh, that's right. I could brew install this as well. Well, I don't want to scare you. I said it was going to be easy. And easy doesn't necessarily mean installing everything using Homebrew. I realize that that might be a little challenging or scary for some. And look, we have this beautiful, lovely Goose icon right here. What are we going to do with it? We are going to put it into the applications folder like that. All right. Yes. So very well done. Very well done. Let's go over to the LLM provider, because what did we do? What did we do? We got Ollama installed. We know it's got Qwen. It's got Qwen 3b, 4b, 4.43b on it. And we've got Goose. Bam. Now let's bring them together. Now why Goose? Well, Goose is actually one of the few agent interfaces I know of that I trust. It's open source, and you'll see when I open it up. Okay. The login keychain password. Oh, hang on a moment. Are you guys still able to see my screen? Oh, yeah, I gotta hit always allow, pardon me. Alright, back to the recording. Boop, boop. Okay, oh, hi, Mykins, devs. It's good to see you. Thank you for joining us today. So we got this landing page, which isn't really important. Let's go over to chat. Alright, chat. Oh, look at this. It's found a model. It's using my Qwen 4.34b. Okay, let's see if it can actually work. It gives us a couple of things. I'll use this one. Let's see if it can work. Could be that I still need to set this up. So let's see, update provider, configure. Yes, let's do a Goose configure while we're waiting on this. Let's see what we can do to just configure it. Let me make it bigger. Bum, bum, bum. We're back. It took it a little while. It's describing democracy as a system where citizens hold power. I'm not sure what it means by units of geese, and it seems that Qwen is not really familiar with it either. And we've set it to smart, so sometimes it can run things on its own or not. Let's set it to chat only for now. Okay, let me show you what it's like to configure Goose. Configure, and it says, what would you like me to configure? And I can be like, let's configure providers. And here I can say Ollama right there. But look at all these different providers. We got Google Gemini, GitHub Copilot, we got Claude Code, Cursor Agent. There's all kinds of things. So when people say, you know, they're using an agent, this is kind of what they mean. It is a UI strapped to the face of a GPT, an LLM that's using the GPT framework. And you give it inputs and it gives you outputs. I can hear my laptop fans just switching on right now, and that's because I am streaming, recording, and running a small language model at the same time. But anyway, let's just say I wanted to keep making new ones. Would you like to update this value? Yes. And this is where I would put in the actual the local host. The local host is the same for Ollama. In fact, yeah, that's okay. If I could do it right here, I'd be like, what's the local host value for Ollama? Where I can find my LLM. So what's happening is Ollama is serving your LLM as a service on your device, and it gets a local host address. In this case, it's always 11434. So I would just enter that, and it's like model fetch complete. And then it asks me to add a different model for the provider. Right now, the default for Qwen is Qwen 3. But okay, let's ask our friend here, list all the possible variants of Qwen that can run on my laptop. I freaking love agents. And I love what they're thinking. Now this is just, you know, like you can go beyond this. We're building an agent with a UI strapped to its forehead today, but you can go out there and test different models. You can use this to create your own private code helper. That's what the people at Block have been doing. You know, they've basically, this is their custom agent, and they've built workflows around it internally. And the nice thing about this is that unlike Claude or Cursor or ChatGPT, which is going to keep shipping new features that you have no say in and going to change their rates all over, you can build something like this. You can store it all in a zip file, and you can send it to other people in your company and just update like the MCP servers that you're running at your company. Like, you do not need to get on bended knee to big tech to do this. So I highly recommend that if you're thinking about, you know, oh, we might want to use agents at work, but you probably don't need you probably don't need ChatGPT, and you probably don't need a lot of things, unless you are building very sophisticated things for scientific teams, or you're doing sophisticated coding. If you're just like copy editing, this is probably enough. You can probably even take it down a notch. So yeah, anyway, let's take a look at the different Qwen models that are out there. Qwen variants that realistically are runnable, CPU only or modest GPUs. Yeah, all right. Qwen 1.5, no thank you. They've got vision plus text and languages, so I should just point out that when you're using an LLM that also does vision, kind of multimodal, it's really inefficient. Like, you should probably be using a separate model that's designed for images. But, you know, you're just building a fun little agent. I can't blame you if you want to install, like, Qwen 2.5 VL, which instructs models at 3B and 7B. And it's got other formats. Let's see. There's one for math, which that could be insanely useful to have a math agent helping you out, especially if you're doing like trades and such. I wouldn't trust just a regular LLM on that. And then we got the Qwen 2.5 coder kind of loving it. Qwen 3 is the latest generation. And quantizations. You can think of quantization as sort of like JPEG compression, but for LLMs. Like, it allows you to take this really, really big LLM, and what you do is you chop off all the finer branches and points that people probably don't need, and they're not going to need super high fidelity things. And, you know, people can't tell the difference. It's like listening to a CD. Most people can't tell that it's not that high fidelity. They're just happy to hear the music. And it's kind of the same with large language models. So that's what quantization is for the layman. All right, practical loop, laptop guidance, quick reality check, smaller dense models, usable, but that is important. Vision, language, and audio models, they're usually much larger because they deal with more organic inputs. Text is actually pretty compressed in terms of information per bit. But for audio and visual, you're going to have to use quantization. You're going to have to, you know, add your JPEG compression. All right, there we go. It just runs. Okay, let's go check out what Ollama says. Oh yeah, here we go. Ollama lists everything. I want to go check out the latest. I want 3. Here we go. 8 billion. I believe I had a long conversation with this the other night, and it's like, you want Qwen. So you can record it there. You can just like grab the copy pasta, and the way it's done is the point is done, is recorded as a colon instead of a dot. So Qwen 3.4b becomes Qwen 3 colon 4b. There you go. And it's checking the configuration. We already have this locally, so it's not a big deal. Okay, let's find out actually. This could be a lot of fun. What are some other, okay, let's ask, what are some other awesome little SLMs that punch above their weight on a laptop? All right. Boop, 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 boop. Okay, you gotta be honest. I feel I'm writing this article for Google, and the Gemini Gamma models have kind of been cleaning house. And part of that is, I think, because Google's been working real hard on making them rock for devices. I have a Pixel 10 Pro because it's like the first Pixel that ships with a model on it, and its tensor chips are attuned to work really well with it. Google has some strengths in this area of on-device LLMs, and I genuinely believe that's the future of the industry. People do not want to be round-tripping with a data center somewhere. Like, you're in the field, you got spotty connectivity. We don't all want to be strapped to a desktop to talk to the servers at OpenAI's headquarters. We know nobody wants to do that. Unless that is some hive mind specifically owned by your company and you own a terminal, and this is the 80s, nobody's doing that. Like, it's got to be able to run on a laptop. It's got to be able to be completely hermetically sealed information-wise. So, all right, let's take a look at these. We've got Mistral 7B, Llama 3.1, Qwen 2.5 and 3 to 7B, Gemma 2.9b, and GLM. Gemma 2 is strong coding and reasoning at small scale, competitive outputs with good latency when quantized. Then we got GLM 4.9b, versatile chat calling, good code, web tasks, works well under constraints. Let's see, type tokenizers, prompt summarize this error log in your screen, score the mod. Oh yeah. You could basically swap different models and quant levels. You know, that's something we didn't talk about. How can I use a quantized model with Goose and Ollama? Yeah, that I'm using, by the way. I love the magical answer box. Once you give these guys access to the web, they're so good. probably should be reimbursed for their activities. You should at least give them free internet access. Oh my gosh. All right. Model in Ollama, then point Goose, step by step, verify it's serving locally. Yep. Configure Goose. Yep, I know how to do that. Where do I find quant-sized models on? Okay. Where do I find the quantized models in Ollama? I'm looking at Qwen 3's page right now, and I don't see it. Maybe there's some secret code in here about what's quantized. Ollama's Qwen 3 page lists sizes. Quantized builds appear as specific tags or GGUF variants. Okay, what is GGUF again? Sounds like something you shout when you win a computer game. Unified format, very helpful. But GPTQ, GGML, what do stand for? Let's unpack the ridiculous levels of acronyms that we're experiencing here. 4-bit quantization. GPTQ is a 4-bit quantization method. GGML, good game, machine learning, is a lightweight tensor library. Not bad. Okay. Generalized post-training quantization. Love it. Generic graph machine learning. Small C-based tensor. Okay, low. So GGUF is GG, that's GPTQ, and GGML, unified format. Okay, love it. Back. Use the tag directly. Well, how do we do that? I don't see how we did that. Let's see. Many Qwen 3 entries ship as smaller footprints by default. For example, run a smaller size that's effectively quantized. Ollama handles the write file under the hood. Oh, so is it just automatically deciding whether it should be quantized or not? Yeah. Parameters, quantization. You could, yeah. Oh my. Okay, got it. So what's happening here is we can see that each of these models has a slightly different quantization on it. Yeah, they're all running. But these are tiny models, so they're likely to have quantization on all of them. So it's not really a decision that we make. It's tagged that way. Huh, it's not even listed on the card. Woo. Okay, unfortunately most of this means nothing to me right now. So let's go see what we have left to do in our to-do list. Well, we installed everything, and we have a small bonus round, which is let's add some MCP tools to the agent. That's a great idea. I think I remember how to do this all on my own some. Let's see, extensions. Heck yeah, here we go. All right. Oops. I have enabled developer and to-do by automagically, but you can also turn on things like computer controller. We're not gonna memory, which allows Goose to learn your preferences locally, and a tutorial. Oh, what I also love is that it's got a scheduler function built in. This is what I mean when I say like an agent is an interface. For a personal agent, it is. There are headless agents. These would be agents that you could use to send them out on a little task, make them go complete things for you, and then they would like take inputs, give outputs, kind of like a function. You know, you give them a certain input, they provide a certain output. As long as that output is in a certain JSON format, you can treat it like an API endpoint. No big deal. Headless agents. Humans never interact with them. And that means that you're essentially using them as an LLM endpoint, Yeah, I know, right? So all this talk about it's agents, overblown. An agent is an LLM on the GPT framework that has an interface strapped onto it for human and or computer interaction. So it might be just interacting with stuff coming down the pipeline from like a ticker feed and outputting stuff to a spreadsheet or a database, cleaning information is being recorded live on the air. Or it might be having a conversation with a person and need this whole Goose framework. When you're working with Claude or you're working with ChatGPT, you're really just working with an interface on top of the model. That's all. And the model exists in the cloud somewhere. So everything you say to it, everything it says to you, it's round tripping. And round trips, we hope that our providers make them nice and secure for us. We hope they're not dumping our information into databases that have poor security models. We hope a lot of things. We won't even get into how MCP busts this all up. I'm going to take a moment to introduce you to MCP as well, because you all been so nice hanging out with me tonight. And then I'm going to go have some tasty dinners. So, MCP. I've been working with Arcade. They build MCP servers. A really good MCP framework, but I'm going to pretend you don't know what MCP is. I will ask, do you know what MCP is? How many people in the audience know what MCP is and this is not interesting to them? Raise your little paws. There's only 3 of you. So, I'll spill it just in case people are watching the review. MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. Ha ha ha. Remember the M in LLM stands for model? Well, this is basically a protocol for something with the context. It was created by like some 20-year-olds straight out of college. And naming things is hard. So anyway, it's an open source standard and it allows you to create servers. Actually, hang on, I got a really great drawing I drew. Well, not a drawing, actually, I had an Anthropic interview and they wanted an entire, I never made it past the recruiter. They wanted a presentation and a video of it. Basically, it's a whole dog and pony show now. But I went ahead and did it because I thought it would be fun. And I did. I learned a lot. And then I said, I'm not doing any more of these. So I don't interview at these companies anymore because they want so much. No. I want to show the big one. Come on. Come on, show the big one. There you go. MCP servers, they got to be publicly exposed through HTTP. Actually, I got to update this. At least for Arcade's MCP servers, you can expose them using Studio, a more secure format that Claude uses. MCP tools, these are like custom functions that you give your LLM access to. They are a little easier to set up. They have more, like you don't have to secure a server. But let's look at it this way. So if you have let's see, we've got an MCP client, we've got MCP servers, and your MCP client, it says our server, but you know what? I'm going to change that. We're going to change this. It's not a server. This is their own words. This is a screenshot. Damn it. Okay. Pretend this says our agent. Your agent has an MCP client inside it. Goose ships with an MCP client, among other things. And when it says it has like a web search tool, that exists outside the MCP client. What's an MCP client good for? Well, if someone has an MCP server, they can have tools, prompts, and resources on that server. Right now, when people talk about MCP servers, they're usually talking about tools. For instance, GitHub had an MCP server that had tools, and it was a little too frisky. Let's put it that way. It could make changes to people's accounts. It could show public private information publicly if prompted correctly. There's resources. I used to make webcomics for a living, so I could put all of these resources, all of those comics, on an MCP server as resources. And there are actually some things, some integrations I could use so that I could charge people to look at them or retrieve them. And then there are, prompts. Prompts are interesting because the way an LLM talks to its tools, it's sort of like, when you're in your agent, you send it a message and it looks at the message and it determines, oh, I might need a tool for this. And then it comes back and says, tell me what tools you've got. And so then your client sends a list of all the, your agent, its client side, sends the LLM, which may be offsite, a list of the tools that are available. The LLM picks one. And it also, if you have prompts enabled, you can send what sort of format you expect things back in. This is very useful when your agents are headless and they're talking to API endpoints, because this tells your agent, when I'm asking for pizza shops, I'm asking for their location. You need to return a JSON that shows their location, their menu pricing, average reviews, and their name. And their contact information. These 5 things formatted in this way in JSON, and then it goes and it puts them into a beautiful directory page that you've situated somewhere. You never look at it, but it needs to know what format that its recipient is expecting. 2 people. I guess I totally bored you all with that. Sorry, guys. But hopefully you learned something fun about how MCP clients and servers work. But anyway, fun. Let's just quit that for now. So I've discussed what that is. Let's see where we can add MCP tools. Configure providers. Oh yeah. Settings, configure. Yeah, if you go through configure providers, you'll see a long list, and you can see the API host is listed there. Its keys are stored securely in the keychain. It's really a secure way to set this up, but there's all kinds. If you wanted to, you could connect to OpenAI. I actually have Anthropic already configured on my device as well, and I can switch over to using Anthropic whenever I want. Boop, 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 boop. Which actually makes me think, I could switch over and, okay, let's do the ichthyosaur question. Let's see, chat. Okay. We're gonna compare the difference between what we're getting from Qwen 3.4b and what we get from Anthropic. So, what Control T, we're going to just start a new one. There we go. How do I put this? Could ichthyosaurs, those are marine reptiles, have had echolocation? So this is difficult because, there we go. It's thinking. So this is fun because first it has to realize that this is probably a misspelling. And there's an entire cluster around the proper spelling out there of the misspellings. And it has to associate ichthyosaur with dolphins and then echolocation. All right. While they're highly adapted to aquatic life, no scientific evidence suggesting they used echolocation. Key reasons being skeletal structure. The jaws were optimized for swimming and capturing prey, not producing or detecting sound. Vision. They did have incredibly large eyes. Brain structure. They don't show any specialized adaptations for echolocation. To be honest, I don't know that you could see that. That's a soft tissue thing. And behavioral evidence. Chasing schools of fish likely relied on sight. not sound. Okay. Now let's switch over to the anthropic model. Use Claude Sonnet. I feel like Sonnet's a pretty good one. Select it. And now we're going to... And let's see what it responds with. Oh, authentication failed. Ah, I've got the wrong keys. All right, hold on, please. All right, here we go. Rather than dicking around with that, let's just add, could ichthyosaurs have had echolocation? And we'll use Sonnet 4.5. What? No. Why are you asking? No. Why? Why did Claude want to see my microphone? That's weird. So I gave Claude some... Ah! Claude, stop using the web. That's cheating. Just gonna turn off everything. All right, we turn off the extended thinking. We turn off the web search, because remember, we haven't installed that yet for our buddy. I'm turning off all these things. I've got a Blue Sky MCP server too, and my Notion MCP server. Okay, we got it all. And you can add connectors, by the way, like all of these things. But most of these you can get through MCP servers. Okay. All right, Sonnet, wow us using just your local knowledge. It's a fascinating question. Oh, now it's trying to search the web. Damn it! Damn it! They made that native. Stop that. You're not. You're not. I just want you to use your local abilities. Do not... Did it turn web search on its own? I'd say, for a second time at least, it's a fascinating question. It sits at the intersection of paleontology and comparative biology. Anatomical evidence suggests it's possible. Marine environments, some show enlarged regions of the skull around the ear bones. Deep diving species. Honestly, that doesn't really indicate anything because humans' visual system grew a garage that's parked completely far away from the eyes. That's why we have like a 13 millisecond gap between perception and thought. A lot of what we see is just a guesstimation. Ecological parallels. Case for skepticism. Evolutionary consensus. So as you can see, Claude Sonnet's giving us a very fancy response. Yeah. Well, maybe we need a quick answer. Okay, let's try it again. We'll try it with Haiku, which is known for its super fastness. Could ichthyosaurs have had echolocations? Could potentially have had echolocation, though there's no definitive evidence either way, remains speculative. Relatively large brain size, significant challenges. So this is kind of the same information. It's just being shown in a different way. In this case, we'll compare ichthyosaurs and echolocation here. This is what we're getting off Qwen. We're getting off of Claude Haiku. You know, skeletal structure, vision, brain structure, and behavioral evidence. We got soft tissue preservation. I did correct it about the soft tissue preservation. Evidence. Evolutionary pathways, I think, is interesting. Very different history. Weren't closely related to whales, so they would have independently evolved it. Like, that's stating the obvious. I mean, of course they would have independently evolved it. So I actually kind of prefer Qwen's response, if I'm honest. It's straightforward, and it does a really good job of extrapolating. Like, it's it's really pointing out the things here. But I do appreciate that Haiku here was able to get to the soft tissue preservation issue that I had noticed. But like I said, that doesn't really tell us a lot. The vision is actually the big tell that ichthyosaurs did not have echolocation, because dolphins do not have very big eyes. Echolocation works just fine for them. Some of the largest vertebrate eyes in the world are recorded on ichthyosaurs. So let's put together an MCP into our beloved friend. We talked a bit about what a server and what a client do. Goose has an MCP client stuck inside it, and I am honestly struggling to find Goose MCP client. Install MCP tool. Let's have a peek. Here we go. Wait, Duke University. Right? Interesting. That's not what I wanted. Here we go. Goose in 5 minutes. You install it. You configure your LLM. Did it. Building a small app, building an MCP server. I don't actually want to build an MCP server. I just want to use MCPs. So a little bit about how this works. I'm going to open up my Cloud in here and show this to you, because I have a number of MCP servers that I've configured, and one of them is Notion. When you look at this, you can see all these different Notion commands that I have available. And what happens is it's actually running locally. Go to developer, and you can see it here. This is all MCP servers. Wow, yeah, I remember adding the AgentQL extension to Goose very early. There are so many, and you can go to MCP indexes and kind of find different ones. There's a JetBrains extension, there's a GitHub extension, Figma, etc. But you know what I really want? Oh, YouTube transcript extensions, so good. But what I really like is something, oh, there's a Dev.to extension. What can the Dev.to one do? The Dev.to MCP server. Here we go. You can get articles, get article, get user, get tags, get comments, and search articles. This sounds really useful. That's really cute. Do we have a Reddit one as well? Yep, we got a Reddit one. And this one, it does require you to run it locally. Notice how some of them are hosted externally, and you can call them there. Some of them are, you kind of have to run them locally. This one will run using the UVX command. Okay, so we're gonna run it. What's this one do? It will fetch hot threads from any subreddit, get detailed post content, including comments, support for different post types, including links and text and gallery. All right, let's see. What's the latest hot thread in R Victoria 3? Well, you know what? I'm going to actually do it. This sounds kind of fun. So to install it automatically via Smithery or manual installation, could do this. So this is actually kind of not great. Let's see. What's Smithery? Not even found. Be honest, I'm not really a fan of this one. Let me see if I've got something better. There's a Playwright extension. This can be really good. It can allow Goose to interact with browsers for cross-browser testing and web automation. Would recommend. Speech for Cell. Yeah. Cogni. Asana. Oof. Asana. I love me some Asana. Well, let's just do the Dev.to one for now. Let's see. It's an extension to enable access to the Dev.to public API. And so it's basically taking the API and turning it into a tool, which is what a lot of these do. And this one's fairly simple to set up compared to other options. what we do is we will git clone it, and then we will run it. I'm gonna actually do this thing to go up, up, up. I think I have something called utilities somewhere. Let's see. Under, here we go, utilities. Yep, perfect. Let's see. No, 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 no. Perfect. So I would like to see ls cd nope. Okay. There we go. Get clone. There we go. We're gonna cd into that. Then we're gonna npm install, npm run build. And then we do this little npm start. It's running over there. And we can install it on the desktop. Okay, launch the installer. Let's find out what that's like. Oh. So now it's gonna call local 3000/MCP for the Dev.to installer. The downside to that is I might not always have that running. So having it hosted locally does mean that you have to set it up to run. But let's give it a shot and I'll show you what it's like. Okay. What are the 3 top Dev.to articles about agents? Oh yeah, that's right. I gotta switch over. That was officially the I'm hungry. Can you please come out and eat some food with me account. And I'm gonna be Qwen. What did we say? Qwen 3 4B. There we go. Select that one. There we go. Love it. Okay. Oops. Please retry. Copy. PO articles about agents. Hello. Server started. Port 3000. Goose is thinking. What you thinking, Goose? Private thinking. I think the issue might be in the configuration. Let's see what the server is like. Get oh. And you can also, I guess, change it over to Studio. Lovely. I wonder why it's not working. Might be that it needed a new window to access it. We'll find out. Yeah, okay, it just needed to start a new window. Ta-da! Do not apologize for skipping the tool call. Not support executing external commands or interacting with system resources. Well, it shouldn't have needed to. Let's try smart, see if it works again. Oh yeah, the context window. You can see how big it is. Auto summarize at 80% will compact things down. That's pretty cool. Because we had it only in chat mode. It wasn't allowed to call any tools. I got it. I totally allowed it. Oh. Then it 404'd. Oh no. I wonder why. If we go over and look here. Articles, API request failed. I wonder why. Well, we're going to have to solve for that at another time, because my dinner's ready. It was a lot of fun working with you. Thank you for hanging out today. And I hope you will build your own agent and have a lot of fun with it. There are a lot of different MCP servers out there. They go beyond Goose's listings of them. You can find more. You saw I had a lot of them already listed in my Claude. So go, have fun.